Hey everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and we are back with the top 8 round of the second Reddit Championship Series. Folks, we've had a long and fantastic journey through the swamps of Synchro Eldritch, and the chickens have come to roost. What you're seeing on screen is the top cut breakdown. That is a lot of the Golden Lord. I am joined, as always, by Sir Emanon, my commentator in crime. How are you doing today?
Doing pretty well here, and that is about as much Synchro Eldritch as I can handle. How about you?
Yeah, pretty similarly. I do like the Halqifibrax on the throne. It's a nice touch. As you can see, more than half of the top cut is Eldritch in one way, shape, or form, and most of it's synchro. There are 5 decks using the Librarian combo, 3 using the True King of All Calamities combo, and 1 listed as Other that I hope we don't have to encounter. That's not the only Secret Slayers meta deck represented either. We've got 3 Adamancipators in top cut as well, and then 3 Errant one-of decks, 2 of which we are going to watch in today's match.
Yeah, making it past the gauntlet of the top 2 titans of the format, we see Dinosaur, who actually won the top 16 feature match, up against Sky Striker, which has, shown itself to be just the blind second anti-meta strategy, just packing, 14 plus hand traps and all the Mystic Mines in the world.
Yeah, the Dinosaur pilot, Giant Skyhawk, of course, should not be a surprise to anyone. This is an individual who is well known for his dinosaur play. His deck is out of this world from another time period in which it was okay to play 15 one-ofs. And Arashel, of course, is a very good Sky Striker player in their own right as well. Pilots like Ryan Yu have certainly proven that this deck has legs. Whether it can compete with decks it isn't exactly targeting remains to be seen.
Yeah, so we get to see, some of the meta prep come into play here, where whether or not, we see the encountering of rogue decks. Of course, we can imagine that these players have run into some of the non-Secret Slayers decks in the Swiss portion, but going up in the top cut here, we might see some very, very interesting interactions take place.
All right, looks like we are going to jump into the die roll, and Giant Skyhawk is 1. Looks like they are forcing Sky Striker to go second. If I'm Striker, I'm pretty happy about playing against anything not named Adamancipator in terms of setup. They are adept at breaking boards, especially if they don't contain 15 negates.
Yeah, and I think that even Ryan Yu was opting to go second in a lot of his matches. So, really, this deck is just super capable of breaking boards and, reestablishing negations with things like Little Inkers and Shark Cannons. But we see Dino on the play, going for a terraforming play. We have Lost World and Overraptor, which is one of the many 2-card combinations that this deck has to offer.
Now, there are a couple of things complicating this. Obviously, Infinite Impermanence is going to make this pretty difficult. If only they had had the token first, Giant Skyhawk would be able to do everything they want. As is, I do think they can go slightly plus here by using the Foolish Burial to send a Miscellaneous Source to the graveyard. We'll see.
Yep, looks like that's going to come down, and I believe the Miscellaneous is going to try and go for an Aeolo to go into Halqifibrax's backup plan.
Yeah, you'll recognize that, in fact, Giant Skyhawk has caved to the power of Halqifibrax and is playing a very sizable combo line. And it looks like it will resolve. They're going to get a Jet Synchron from deck, the only one included in his 50-card list, before going into Auroradon and setting up what I expect will be a pretty passable turn 1 board.
Yep, and Lost World, of course, being one of the most broken field spells, preventing this Moonlit Chill from actually targeting. So we are going to be able to resolve the full Auroradon line, which can most likely end on something like a Savage plus a Herald negation.
It is so funny to me, the Moonlit Chill targets. All right, we're going to bring back this copy of Jet Synchron and get off to the races.
Yep, pretty standard stuff here. Borrowing from the likes of Synchro Eldritch, going into the O-Line off the Auroradon, going into Borreload Savage, and then the O-Line token going to be brought back to be able to enable a Herald.
All right, this is a pretty devastating board for any deck to attempt to get through. This Sky Striker pilot's going to have to do it on 4 cards, 5 after the draw, but Area 0 is pretty much exactly what they needed.
Yep, this can turn back on all the Sky Striker stuff by just freely getting the token out of the way. But it looks like Savage is going to go ahead and answer that.
But it might not matter. That token is extremely difficult for an opponent to deal with. You know, it turns on things like Soul Eating Overraptor and prevents targeting, but it's also material that can be sent to the graveyard alongside a tuner for a Halka-Fibrax.
And that's going to be met with the Herald. Of course, it's not going to be resolving anytime soon. Looks like Afterburner is going to be the play next.
Wow, and suddenly the striker player is in the driver's seat. They're able to activate the effect of Hornet Drones to get a token to their side of the field, and on this simplified board state, from here going into something like a Hayate is almost guaranteed to resolve, which means that by the end of this turn, they should be in full control of this game.
Yep, and the only interaction left is the Infinite Impermanence, which of course can negate one of Kagari or Shizuku, but not both. So we are looking pretty good to grind if we're in the striker player's position.
Oof, and this is so frustrating for Giant Skyhawk. Obviously, they wanted to use Kagari to get back the multi-roll. They're going to be able to activate Shizuku here to get something like a Widow Anchor. Giant Skyhawk has exactly one turn to get over the extremely recursive Sky Striker engine before they just go into another Kagari. Having 3 of this card has made this deck so resilient.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Skyhawk, there's not really a whole lot of follow-up because we're forced to kind of use our Dinosaur plays last turn. And another top deck Lost World isn't going to do it.
It's going to be met with a pass, and from here we can just do anything we want. Area 0 on the new set card, finding another copy of Widow Anchor. Oh boy, now we can play 2 of that. We'll go ahead and pop this set card. It is a Jamming Waves with no targets on field, so it's Kagari time. We'll get back this copy of Multi-Roll, and this seems like the end of the game.
Yeah, even if it's not lethal, it is effectively the end of the game. We can go ahead and attack for a fair amount of damage with Kagari here. Interestingly enough, I don't believe there is a Ray in the graveyard yet, but we have so many resources that it's going to take a lot for Skyhawk to come back from this one.
Absolutely. Keeping the multi-roll in hand for next turn. Token Collector, the draw is fine, but you kind of need a token for it to do anything. If only it had been summonable off of the copy of Hornet Drones.
Yeah, coming a bit too late there, and also possibly needing a Dinosaur to be able to enable Lost World plays. And without any meaningful resources, Striker's just going to continue to pop off here.
Oh, and this might actually just be the straight-up end of the game. Looks like we're going to activate the effect of Shark Cannon to get this Auroradon. Hey, fun fact, this card can be used as link material. It just often isn't, because if you activate its effect, you can't link summon for the remainder of the turn. By chaining the copy of Shark Cannon, we can go into Access Code, and that is going to be enough for Skyhawk.
Yep, and we see, the access code plus the Rave that was brought back from the Area 0, just going to represent lethal damage there. So it looks like Skyhawk going to be electing to go first yet again in game number 2.
Wow, this is a much better hand for the Sky Striker pilot. A copy of There Can Be Only One will help clean up a board state that has already been picked apart. Nibiru is fantastic against Dinosaur, as is Effect Veiler, and all these really powerful control tools. I mean, they are one ray away from having maybe the best sculpted hand in their deck.
Yeah, I wonder if Arashel thought that they were going to be going first, given how many trap cards it seems that they boarded in. But regardless, we still have 2 hand traps, and Coral Dragon into a pass is going to be the play.
Wow, that's really not strong. Oh gosh. And Mystic Mine, the activation. Does Skyhawk even play an out for this card? I don't think he does. There's no Cosmics in the main. There's nothing in the board aside from Solemn Judgment. Oh my god. Did they just lose?
I feel like the only out here is possibly like a Lost World to give your opponent a token and then like link away stuff. But, there's not enough time for that when your opponent just draws Ray.
Yeah, so we'll go from Ray into Hayate. We'll use Hayate's effect to send a copy of Hornet Drones. Then we'll go into a Kagari adding back the Hornet Drones. And then I expect firing off this multi-roll, destroying your own Kagari so that you can attempt to do the same play next turn while keeping Mystic Mine active. Wow, that's frustrating.
Yeah, and continuing to just draw more cards that don't really interact under Mystic Mine. And once again, we have just access to whatever plays. We can set the tempo of the game to however we need to. And drawing another Ray is going to help accelerate that pace.
Yeah. Altergeist players may recall this is almost exactly the shuffle back my Melusik every turn under Mystic Mind play. We're going to use Ray over and over again to go into exactly Hayate. Then we're going to be able to destroy Hayate with this multi-roll. If we find enough copies of Ray, Rose, and Hornet drones, we should be able to grind our opponent out, and Kagari is going to be a fantastic way to do this.
And RSL is even playing the Hercules base. We saw it excavated in game number 1. So that's an option if we ever do happen to run out of our links. We have multi-roll already, so we can just send that no problem.
Wow. Terraforming, not particularly powerful with the Mystic Mine already on field, but is a good way to get spells into the graveyard for future turns. We'll pass back again, and it's back to Skyhawk on a Called by the Grave. This is a card that actually might have some utility in this matchup.
Yep, but unfortunately, it doesn't answer the current predicament, that being Mystic Mine. It looks like Arashel going to be breaking the mine himself, so possibly an aggressive push this turn.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this happens all the time with players that sit under Mystic Mine. You are massively favored as long as Mystic Mine remains on field, and you've got a couple of Solemn Judgments preventing your opponent from doing anything. Things like there can be only one, stopping them from making proactive plays. Why give them a window into the game at all? Are you just bored?
Very well could be. Or there could be a window to try and end the game. It's kind of scary, though, staring down a full hand, knowing that hand traps are just so prevalent this format. Looks like Call by the Grave going to be answered by Solemn Judgment to try and just push as much as possible.
All right, looks like the Area Zero is going to summon a Rose from deck, and then normal summon a copy of Ash Blossom. That's a tuner, and you probably know where this is going.
Yep, we've seen this before. So we're going to go into Valor, go into Celine. Celine's going to get a bunch of counters, bring back the Valor, and then go into an Access Code Talker. And with 5,000 life points, looks like that is possibly the end of the game.
Would DD Crow have banished the Effect Valor and ended this game, or are there a couple of spellcasters? There are. Gosh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, really, really rough. Right, looks like Skyhawk is thinking on resolution. Seems to be okay. Coral Dragon is going to net a draw.
All right, it's got to be something crazy.
Will it be a Nibiru? It's another DD Crow.
Dang, that's so rough. Yeah, I have no idea how he could have potentially outed this. Oh my gosh, wait! This is such a mistake! They're activating the Hornet drones. That's going to put a token on the field.
Oh no.
Oh my god, that's so funny. And now we can flex this double DD Crow to get rid of... Oh no, there's too many types in the graveyard.
Yeah, there's still enough for Access Code to be able to just get rid of the whole board. Looks like Token Collector going to be hitting the grave, and Battle Phase is going to spell the end of the game. It was almost funny, but unfortunately didn't quite get there.
Oh, man. So, Giant Skyhawk unfortunately drawing just the wrong hand traps for the opportunity. Potentially could have played around it in a more proactive way, but, I mean, this is why Sky Striker routinely takes sets off top-tier decks. It's so flexible, it can close games in an instant, and against decks that are unprepared for Mystic Mine, it sometimes just gets free wins.
Yeah, Mystic Mine really falling out of the side deck for a lot of decks has favored Sky Striker massively, and just being able to have so many different win conditions, whether it's the aggressive access code plays or the exact opposite in sitting on a mine, the deck has so many things going for it.
Absolutely. Well, best of luck to Arashel. They're going to be in the top 4, and we're going to do our best to follow the most interesting match in each given game. Unfortunately, folks, that does mean you will probably have to, at some point, watch a Secret Slayers match. I'm so sorry. We'll do our best to curate accordingly, but Hulk is coming down one way or another.
Well, it's inevitable, but we have gotten to see some pretty interesting gameplay throughout the majority of the tournament here, and I think that this match was also another very good showcase of that.
Oh, absolutely. If you're interested in seeing the top 4 match and finals, please subscribe to Sir Emanon's channel, where half of them are uploaded, and stay tuned here for the next one.